Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Stu Clark. Today we're going to talk about power, and specifically how much power you need for an overnight trip, a weekend trip, and just what size power box you need to keep everything running when you're out in the field. Whether you're just taking just from a photography standpoint or videography standpoint, and then also lights and camp stuff like that. And we're just going to have a real overview of the power requirements and how you can calculate it for yourself for your own needs. You can tell it's not a sponsored video because there's no coffee maker on the desk right now. This time of year with Black Friday, just last weekend, you've seen all the sponsored videos for Bluetti and Anchor and all these different power stations. And you always see a coffee maker, a grill being plugged in. That's not what this video is about. Today we're looking at the requirements to keep you shooting in the field. I road trip with my Toyota 4Runner. If you're like me and you like to kind of travel fairly light, power stations, whether I've got the old Go Labs here, the Bluetti. These are going to be kind of your go-to power sources to kind of keep yourself charged up. But trying to decipher how large a power box you need can be quite difficult. And so today we're going to go through and show you how to calculate your exact or your close to exact power requirements. There's always going to be some inefficiencies. One, how you charge it, whether you choose to use AC or DC charging. There will be power lost in the charging process. So you might have, you might have a 300 watt hour power box and you're not going to get exactly 300 watt hours out of it, especially when it's new compared to when it's 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. This is the Bluetti AC50B. This is the 448 watt hour battery box. So watt hours is essentially the unit of energy of how much power that battery contains within it. And then you can go through all of your devices and you can figure out what the watt hours are for each of the batteries in your devices. So then it'll give you a much clearer idea of how much you need from a daily use, how much you might need for 2 days. And then obviously there's going to be, are you driving? You can charge it when you're driving. Is there solar? You can charge it when you're solar. You'll have far different power requirements for summer trips in sunny weather compared to going out now in the Northern Hemisphere where it's dark at 4 o'clock. It's cloudy most days, so solar's not going to be an option. Depending on if you're going to be driving or setting up a base camp, will really make a huge difference how much you can recharge those batteries. So hopefully by the end of this video, you can go through your devices and you get a really clear picture of how much power you need for that 1-day trip, 2-day trip, 3-day trip, whether you're going to be driving around or base camping, and you can decide on what size power box you need to buy. Is a small 300 watt hour power box going to be fine? Is a 500 watt hour power box going to be fine? Or if you got multiple photographers going to be running off the same box, you need to be in that 1,000 watt hours or 2,000 watt hours. You're in a camper sort of situation. You can definitely go with the larger power box. So when we're talking about power, a lot of devices, when you got the power bricks and the like, this is a 25,000 milliamp hour battery. This is a 10,000 milliamp hour power bank. How do you convert that to watt hours? We're going to just show you a simple equation of how to figure it out and decide on how large a power station you need. So when you're looking at a lot of these devices now, so this is a 25,000 milliamp hour battery. This one, nicely enough, does have written on the back that it's 91 watt hours. So this is a third of the size of this. So it gives you an idea. You could just for the whole battery type, this has got inverters for the AC power, the DC plugs. There's lots of different things that make this larger, but for straight battery standpoint, I can only recharge this probably 2.5 times with this box. So something to be really aware of when you're heading out the house. You want to make sure that your power banks that you're going to be using when you're in the field are always fully charged when you leave the house, because you don't want to rely on having to charge it up once you're there. This will only get charged 2.5 times from one of these. To figure out how to calculate the power, it's a combination of the milliamp hours and the volts. It's how you come up with your watt hours. So this is 25,000 milliamp hours at 3.65 volts. So when you calculate that, the 25,000 times 3.65 is 91,250. You divide that by 1,000, as the calculation we're showing here, you're going to end up with 91.25 watt hours, which is exactly what's written on the back of this. So that's the equation, and you can go through and you can do that equation on all of your devices. So the 10,000 milliamp anchor, so this is 3.7 volts versus 3.65 volts, a little higher voltage, and is 37 watt hours. So this is 37 watt hours versus 91 watt hours. So it gives you an idea of how powerful this little INU power bank is comparatively for the size. It's just awesome. So the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 is 1300 milliamp hours at 7.7 volts. So we're looking at 10 watt hours. The extra battery handle on that is 950 milliamp hours at 7.7 volts. We're looking at 7.32 watt hours. The DJI Action 4, we are looking at 1770 milliamp hours. It's a lower voltage than the Pocket, so it's going to be at 3.85 volts. This will be 6.81 watt hours. The Nikon ENEL 15C batteries, these guys are 2280 milliamp hours, but there are two cells. So these are actually double the voltage. So you can see they're actually two batteries of similar size to this. So this is at 7 volts. So the 2280 times 7 volts, we're going to end up with 16 watt hours. So when I use 3 of these for for a day's shoot, we're looking at nearly 50 watt hours to recharge the camera batteries alone. The iPhone 16 Pro Max, we're looking at, this is 4,685 milliamp hours at 3.88 volts. So I said the voltage definitely plays in when you're calculating all of these. This is 18.1 watt hours. Comes to flashlights, the Olight Baton 3 Pro Max. This is 5,000 milliamp hours, and this is at 3.6 volts. So we're looking at 18 watt hours. We've got the Olight Marauder Mini. It's a phenomenal high power flashlight. We're looking for a really good quality flashlight. They just updated this to the Mini 2 as well, which is amazing. So this is 6,500 milliamp hours at 3.7 volts. So we're looking at 24 watt hours to recharge this guy. And then we've got the Weebun X4. This is a new light I actually just got. They actually sent this one out to me. What an amazing little flashlight this is. Some really neat features on it. If you're looking for a fairly inexpensive gift, this was definitely would be top of the pile right now. I'll leave links for all of this down below. But this is a great little flashlight, and this is 3,400 milliamp hours at 3.65 volts. So we're looking at 12.4 watt hours to fully charge this. And then we've got my laptop. My laptop is 52 watt hours. So when you add up everything in front of us here in kind of perfect charging amount, we're looking at 287 watt hours to keep everything charged here. So basically, this power box here will give me a single charge on everything in front of us here. Be close. Like I say, at 300 watt hours, there will be some inefficiencies in that. So probably going to lose, probably not going to completely charge everything to full charge. But that gives you an idea of if you're not having any access to solar, you're not having any access if you're not going to be driving at all, a 300 watt hour power box doesn't charge a lot. And that's a full charge on the laptop, depending on how much you shoot during the day, might just be enough to get all of your data off the laptop. So depending on how you manage your photos and your video files, whether you're going to create backup copies and everything else, 300 is kind of the bare minimum to get you through a night with a lot of shooting. Having said that, not everything on the table needs to be charged every day. Batteries are almost always going to be charged every day. That's 50 watt hours. The Action 4, probably going to be, depending on what I'm doing and what the shoot is, it might be at 30% charge. So I only need to charge this, once every 3 days, let's say. The Osmo Pocket 3, typically because I'm doing YouTube videos and like that, definitely will get used a lot. So that might be a full discharge for throughout the day. Flashlights, depending on the time of year you're out shooting. If I'm shooting up north in the summertime, don't even really need a flashlight. It's light until time for bed, and it's bright when you wake up in the morning. But if you're going out this time of year, obviously your power for lighting is going to be a lot more. Whether you need camp lights, battery powered camp lights, things like that, they might also come into the equation. So lighting will definitely play a larger part of keeping things lit up. So everything has to be kind of taken into account when you're deciding on what you're going to be shooting and what you're going to be doing. Obviously, if you're not doing videos, you're going to have less power needs than if you're shooting video and photos. So that definitely will play into it well. Phones are typically going to need to be charged once a day. But when I go through the numbers on these, and basically worked it out where, I need a third of the flashlight. I need, the 25,000 milliamp hour battery pack might just be a complete backup that it can charge things when I get back to camp. I might not even use it in the field, and I can kind of I can add this to my power stations as opposed to taking it away from the power station. If I'm going for a 3-day trip, I probably wouldn't recharge this in the trip. This would actually be used to charge other things, but I might keep the 10,000 milliamp hour charged when I'm out in the field during the day. I can keep things topped up. When you're charging, how you charge will play a part in how efficient the charging banks are. The power stations, obviously you've got the option of AC or DC. So DC is utilizing just USB-C. AC has to use the inverter in the power station in order to convert the power. It's far more efficient to use DC versus AC. So what does that mean? So in practice, let's have a peek here. So with my Nikon EL15C batteries, I've got the option of two different chargers. I've got a USB charger or an AC powered charger. So with the AC powered charger, you're going to be obviously plugging it into the AC power on the power station. So batteries are DC powered. The wall is AC powered. So what happens with this is that it takes about 10% of the battery of this battery to charge one of these. When I'm using USB-C power, it takes about 13% to 12 to 13% when I'm using AC power. So I'm going to lose 6% of this battery charge by charging these through AC. Having said that, there will be situations where the AC might be a little bit quicker. So this is just a USB-A charger. I need to actually pick up a USB-C charger for this to give me a little bit more, that would make it more efficient for sure and a little bit more powerful. Power bip stations, a lot of them have got through charging. When I've got this plugged into the car charger when I'm driving, you can charge through. So this is getting charged, and then you can also power things off of this. And this is a great way when you're driving, and I highly encourage you to set up your charging this way, is you will always want to keep this charged when you're driving. First thing, this is the most important thing to keep charged. But when you're driving, you want to plug as many things in as possible so that everything is getting charged while you're driving. And then hopefully when you get to your destination, this is fully charged as well as all your items. What's really important though, when you're running, charging off of your alternator in your car or your truck, depending on how new your vehicle is, depending on how good the alternator is. My 4Runner, it's an older third generation 4Runner, and it has 125 watt maximum off of the alternator. So I need to be really careful when I plug this in to the socket. This draws about 104 watts. So if I start plugging in my phone and everything else into other ports on the truck, I might end up where I start to drain the truck battery. And when I get to my stop at destination and turn the car off, I might not have enough power to start the car again. And it's something to be really careful of. Depending on how many devices you have plugged in, you can be drawing too much power from the alternator that you're not charging your main battery. So if you run everything through this will max out at that 104 watts drawing from the alternator, and then it will charge the units accordingly from that, and you don't have to worry about draining the car battery. But there is one situation where you have to be careful too. If you're doing the slow drive, you're driving around, driving, shooting, taking your time, you might not be actually revving the engine if you're idling it all. At idle, the alternator, especially in my older vehicle, is not going to be producing that 125 watts to fully charge this, where again, I might be drawing from the main battery. I'm not charging the battery, I'm charging up this instead. Something to just be really aware of. Just you don't want to over tax your vehicle when you're out and about. So if you have the option of using USB instead of AC, it's a great, especially when you're not plugged in. So if you're plugged in, whether you be to your vehicle or to solar, the AC might be the faster charging. So if you're trying to get these charged up quick, the AC might make more sense. This might charge faster than your USB. So this will take some testing on your part, just to figure out which is the best way to kind of keep everything managed. Same thing with the with my laptop. My laptop comes with, it's USB-C charging on it, but it comes with a great big inverter for AC plug to power it in. Same thing, if I'm going to run this from the AC power, it's going to take a lot more than the 52 watt hours to recharge it using the AC power, as opposed to just using a USB-C cable. So using a good quality USB-C cable plugged into the power station is the most efficient way to charge a USB-C device. So definitely you want to make sure you've got high enough power rated cable in order to keep the power running. One other thing that I will often do with mine, this is from Anker. This is a USB-C hub, but this allows for pass-through charging. I can plug this in to the power bank and to the laptop, and then have the USB hub plug in my memory card and then also a hard drive, where I'm able to basically keep everything charged while I'm downloading data. And this allows us a really nice way of doing that. And I do find when I'm trying to do the data transfer, it's a great idea to keep the laptop plugged in when you can. Just it'll help speed things up because the laptop's not throttling, trying to keep the battery, trying to preserve battery life. So having a pass-through charger option like a hub like this really helps with that. You see the solar panels behind me. These are 100-watt solar panels that in the summertime, you've got no problems being able to kind of top up. And what I do in the summertime, when I get a lot of times with wildlife photography, you're out in the morning, you're in camp during the day having a nap, I'll plug everything in solar into the power box, pass through charging, get the laptop charged up, get all the batteries charged up, everything ready to go. So when I'm heading out in the evening time, everything's ready to go, everything's charged up. And this is a 100-watt solar panel behind me, and that will generally be enough power to keep in that 4 hours from 11 till 3 before you're heading back out in the field. Should be enough to get everything topped up, the power station included, and then you're good to go for the day. And when you get back to camp in the evening, you just have to you're kind of doing that top up again, and you're not fully draining the power station. Most things would only be down about a third of that. So you're trying to kind of manage everything throughout the day as best you can. Like I say, for me, this is about what's the minimum power size you need in order to kind of keep you shooting. And so basically what I came out to, and I started kind of crunching the numbers on this, I found that at the end of the typical day of shooting, based on my typical use, when I've run the laptop, run it where I've downloaded about say 500 gigabytes of data, good day shooting, good day video, transferred everything over. I'm going to be transferring that to 2 different SSD drives, kind of moving all the files over, moving it all over. And it basically comes out where I'm going to need daily use about 160 watt hours. And that seems to be it's fairly conservative. It probably, depending on the day, depending on the time of year, obviously going to change. But 160 watt hours is what I'm going to find I need from a shooting standpoint alone. I said, with some flashlights. So 300 watt hour battery box, going to be fine for most situations. But I do find that you have to be a lot more thoughtful of charging as soon as you get in the car, things are plugged in. You do have to really kind of pay a lot more attention to battery management. Like I said, it's probably going to be at 300 watt hours. It's probably going to be 270 as actual usable watt hours you can get out of charging it. So I've got about 100 watt hours of extra, let's say. But if it's cloudy the next day, you're not driving, you're quickly going to be running into power issues the second day. The third day, if you haven't had a chance to get everything topped up, you start to it can be a little bit stressful. You're starting to think about it a lot more. And that's where the Bluetti here is at 448 watt hours. So this will give me 3 full days of recharging. So that's kind of gives you that little bit extra buffer that you're not having to always think. It's not top of mind. It's not as soon as you get in the car, everything plugged in. It's like, oh, okay, all right, I forgot to get my laptop. Let's get that topped up. You've got a little bit more kind of stress relief. So I think in reality, if you're doing that kind of the 500 watt hour, if you're not trying to plug in a TV. You're not trying to do any entertainment extra. My laptop is I might do a little bit of culling, but a lot of times I'll do the culling when I've got sun, solar, everything's charged, everything's running. It's running off of solar. The laptop's running off of solar. That's when I'll do the culling. Or I know that everything's fully charged. I've got a little bit extra sunny forecast for the day. I know I'm driving tomorrow. Then I'll do some culling at night. I'm not worried about running the laptop battery down or running the power station down a little bit extra. That's fine. So depending on what your next day's itinerary is going to be, will really depend on how much power you're willing to go through. But I think from straight up, I think 450, 500 watt hours is what I'd recommend, just to kind of a little bit more peace of mind. This is really nice. This one does have 700 watt power, where you could run a small coffee maker possibly off. It does have a little bit extra for that. Personally, I'm not really running into any of that myself. It's not a use case I personally need, but this, if you got a power out at home, you could do that. The problem when you're drawing something like a coffee maker or a hot plate, something like that on a power station like this, it quickly drains the battery. It might work for an hour, but then you don't have any other charging options. If the power doesn't come back on, that sun doesn't come out, you're not going for a drive, it's really difficult to get these charged back up. So that high wattage usage is best left for a 2,000 watt hour power bank, or something where you've got solar panels, you've got you've got a high power source to repower it for the next day sort of use. And the one thing with these, which is just amazing, where I live, we're kind of out on the edge of the woods. We had a great big windstorm last night. Amazingly, the power stayed on. But one of my favorite uses for these, especially where we are, is for charging my router, for the internet. If we lose power, we're kind of on the edge of cell service, so I can't really run everything off my phone to figure out what's going on with the weather and everything else. So I actually plug the routers in with these, and with the 500 watt hour, the 448 watt hour power station, I can easily run the router for a couple of days. So that's a great use to keep you connected. You can turn the laptop on, watch YouTube videos with that, keep yourself entertained. And, during those dark nights with the power outs, is a great way to keep you connected to find out what's going on and when the power might be back on. So it's an excellent use case for one of these. But yeah, there's just kind of some quick info, like I said. Trying to be able to calculate what you charge, what you go through in a day. That'll help you decide on how many watt hours you need for power station, just where you're going out for 2, 3, 4 days a week, whether you're driving or not, whether you have solar or not. And this will help you kind of figure out your needs. Nice, simple math. I hope that helps you out. If it does, please like and subscribe. Links for all the items on the table here in the description below. If you buying through my affiliate links really helps out my channel. And till next time, we'll see you out there. Take care.